Hello, and welcome back to the Fae Banner Review, where we talk about the heroes we made along the way. The Fire Emblem Heroes, get it? Today, we have a brand new emblem banner featuring Lucina Fire Emblem, an unsurprising yet solid choice this time around. And as per tradition, I will be using this coveted small line graph that may or may not be small at the end of the day to rank the brand new emblem banner, as well as the circle graph that may or may not be a circle at the end of the day alongside it. Today's rankings will be based on how many new things this Lucina does over the one they released less than a year ago. And if you want really amazing luck for this new banner, or you want to make me a bit happy, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, I'd really appreciate it. The emblem this time around is none other than Lucina. She marks the 11th emblem we got in the game, and she's from the base game, meaning we only have Leaf, Roy, those two. They're never getting in at this rate. But hey, Lucina's a nice choice. I wonder what new and exciting things this Lucina will do. Let's see. Emblem Lucina comes with Royal Exalt Bow, which is a slaying bow that has built-in assist gale force. After using an assist, it grants future witness and dodge to herself, the target, and any ally within 2 spaces of them. Future witness grants flat canto 2, spectrum 5, 7 true damage reduction on the foe's first hits, and scowl during combat. Lucina herself gets spectrum 15 during combat, nullifies speed and defense bonuses during combat, 25 true damage, 15 true damage reduction, and potent follow 100%. Lucina also comes with a PRF special in All for One, which is a 4 cooldown special that boosts her damage by a percentage of her speed stat based on the number of allies within 3 rows and columns of her, granting a minimum of 40% and a maximum of 100%. It grants 40 to 60% special damage reduction based on the same condition and whether she's player phasing or enemy phasing. Allies within 3 rows and columns of Lucina get 40% special damage reduction when initiating combat, and once per turn, grants an ally 40% special damage reduction when a foe initiates combat. It's Lucina, but newer. I'm gonna be honest, when I was first reading her weapon, I wasn't really feeling it for the most part. It had the same stuff that we've already seen so many times, and I was just like, me, 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 me. But once I saw the first half of her special, I was like, but once I saw the second half of her special, that's when I got really interested. Giving out special base damage reduction to allies is pretty solid. It's not like other types of damage reduction since it can't be pierced or nullified. It's basically just Arc Rival as a drive effect, which is good when combined with the rest of her support in her weapon. Future Witness gives true damage reduction, scowl, and stats, and Dodge further amplifies the amount of damage reduction a unit can get. Even when halved, it's still providing a lot of bulk to allies. And I know it's nothing that exciting since it's literally just Lucina, but newer, but it is very helpful stuff. I especially like that Lucina can really commit to a support role because of her assist gale force effect and not having a PRF assist on top of that. It may seem a bit weaker to not have additional support from a PRF assist, but the nice thing about Lucina not having one is that she could use the Byleth Ring. The Byleth Ring doesn't work on units with a PRF assist, meaning Lucina can further commit to a support role. Future Witness, Dodge, Action Eco, Dancing, and Drive special damage reduction is a lot from one unit, and that's all without talking about her really amazing Legionnaire combat. It's the same stuff we've seen for who knows how long at this point, and it's fine. She has potent follow 100% and a special that scales off the entirety of her speed stat, which is good, but her range isn't that great since she's an infantry unit with no style. I don't think Lucina is ever going to see combat because of that. You could give her the Lin Ring, but I think trying to make a combat niche work isn't as good as doubling down on her support angle. I think that's where she's going to shine the most. But besides that, she does seem pretty solid. With how crazy damage dealers are getting lately, having a unit that can provide a lot of survivability support is appreciated, and when that falls off, having a unit that could provide a lot of good fodder will be appreciated. And speaking of which, Lucina also comes with Swap, Perfect Attack Speed Favor, and a brand new C skill in Dual Support 4, which grants 5 attack and speed, 5 true damage, 5 first hits true damage reduction, and full tempo for themselves and any ally within 3 rows and columns of the unit. Hey, that's pretty good stuff. Swap is a really nice assist. Thanks, Faye. Dual Support 4 is another line of support C skills that I feel like infantry have needed for a good while. Before this, they had Instruct, which every unit could use, Canto Control, That's it. Even armors had more options for support than infantry did before this, which is sad to think about. That said, full tempo support on a C skill is really strong. Guard effects are decently common now, what with Arc Rival having it built in. Being able to secure specials in general is very useful, and even if you don't need the tempo, it still provides stats, true damage, and true damage reduction, which is always useful. It could also double up as a combative skill on top of being supportive. I really like this skill. Lucina also comes with perfect attack speed. I really don't like this skill. Why do they keep printing this A skill? Do they not have any other options? At least it has no follow-up built into it, but something different would have been nice. It's like we just got this exact fodder on another unit not too long ago. Because we did. I'm just going to assume they don't have many other options to work with, which if that's the case, then sure, whatever. At least she comes with favor, and that's always great. Although it feels like we just got this exact fodder on another unit not too long ago before not too long ago. Because we did. They really did just copy and paste Lucina's last ult over, huh? And then, of course, there's the Emblem Effect, aka the thing most people care about here. The Emblem Effect this time around gives 40% first hit special damage reduction to either a support partner or any ally within 3 spaces when a foe initiates combat. It grants a standard special boost effect when a special goes off, and the damage reduction works once per turn. Honestly, that's okay. I think. That did not sound convincing whatsoever, did it? It's not as ridiculous as the Corrin ring or the Byleth ring, but it is fine for what it is. It's basically just drive arc rival damage reduction, which can have its uses. It'll definitely help out saviors, and I feel like the newer ones really needed something like this because they haven't been that tanky. Giving them an extra bit of survivability is always appreciated. I think the biggest problem with it, though, is that it only works once per turn, which means units like Legendary Elise can decharge the effect, assuming she can hit the support partner or anyone on an Aetherite's defense team. So basically, if the player knows how to breathe, then you can remove the drive effect and it won't have any use for the rest of that turn. But for what it's worth, it's not that bad for an Aetherite's offense setting, since usually the strongest foes will initiate first, which can make tanking the rest of a team much more manageable. I also think it having a clause for ally supports makes it better though, since it means you could get the desired target for it. That way it won't get used up as quickly and it will be harder for it to not apply to that ally's first combat. But as it stands, the emblem effect feels more like filler than anything I have to go out of my way to use, especially since we have 11 rings now. It's competing with a lot of other options in every game mode except Summoner Duels S. Still, I can appreciate that it's not so broken that it becomes a problem like other emblem effects have been in the past. It's just a decent filler ring that could definitely serve a purpose somewhere. Hopefully, that didn't really convince you, did it? Listen, while the emblem effect does seem underwhelming, and other than that, that sure is Emblem Lucina. I think as far as Lucina goes as a unit, she is really solid support-wise. Between her 3 rows and columns special damage reduction, Future Witness providing even more damage reduction, dodge, stats, and scowl, you can get a lot of survivability out of one unit, and that's not including anything from her B skill and C skill that provides even more stats and effects. That said, I don't think the ring is so amazing that you have to go out of your way to get it. It is a good ring effect since it will let units survive a lot more stuff, and it can be the difference between losing your tank and not at times. It's kind of like Ike in that case, where it's very passive in nature but provides a noticeable difference in performance, and the fact that you could stack it with Ike can make it even stronger in practice, but it's not nearly on the same level as other emblem effects, especially since it works on first hit and only once per turn, which makes it less enticing. If anything, the enticing factor here is actually her color share, since her future rerun shares may not even be nearly on the same level. And speaking of which, and then there's the banner share, and who doesn't like banner shares? Okay, better question, who doesn't like good banner shares? We've had some really mediocre shares as of late that have made going for the newer units not worthwhile in the end, and while I won't name any of those units, it's why Emblem Edelgard was so skippable. Her banner was beyond saving. But this time, the banner lineup is actually really great. On the red share, we have Lucina, New Year Valley, and Emblem Corrin. The last time we had seasonals on the end of the month banners was over 5 years ago, but it's not too surprising to see them back. They really have no one else to rerun, and the lack of newer units and decreasing banner slots slots isn't helping. That said, I for one welcome getting recent seasonals on here because they tend to be some of the strongest units we get on a month-to-month basis. New Year Valley especially, given she gives out Drive Miracle and Distant Counter, on top of being an incredibly strong combat unit thanks to her special Miracle. Valley also has the benefit of being blessable, so you could bring her to modes like Aether Raid's offense without receiving a penalty. Her Fodder is also pretty great in attack speed Aria, speed res Shackle, and uplift Imbue. It's a great mix of combat and support stuff that a lot of units would like. And Emblem Corin is also a really great unit on the basis of having one of the stronger emblem effects currently. Her terrain effect is really strong and it's still essential on a lot of teams. Extra copies also isn't the worst since she has Parrot Fodder. Just pretend the other two skills aren't what they are. But yeah, it's a pretty great Lucina share overall. And on the blue share, we have Alphador, New Year Balder, and Ilian Azura. Alphador is one of the best support units in the game currently since he could copy every bonus on the field and give it to an ally. That, on top of all his innate drive support, can make or break a fair amount of matchups. His fodder could be a bit better, but it's not awful what with Ice Wall, Attack Res Aria, and Defense Res Shackle. If not the former two skills, you could definitely find a use for the latter. Meanwhile, New Year Balder is a really strong player phase unit thanks to her style and brave. She could also be deceptively bulky with all the stat swings she gets from her weapon, making her one of the better hidden run units we have at the moment. Extra copies are also really nice since she comes with Arc Rival, Heavenly Soar, and Shadow Shift. All of these skills are really good and they're really cheap to pass around for the most part. The most expensive skill being Shadow Shift, but even the tier 3 version is just as good. And Ilian Azura is okay, but definitely not the best third option they could have gone with. She's a 2-range dancer with Canto Refresh that gives out Draconic Hex and Preempt Pulse within 3 spaces, which is a pretty large range. The biggest problem really comes down to the Byleth Ring's existence that makes being a dancer really competitive. She's far from a bad dancer at least, and you could definitely find a use for her, but there's so many other options at your disposal at this point. Her fodder isn't the best either with Crystalline, Discord, and Speed Defense Cruxploy. Support skills are incredibly competitive in the C slot, especially if you're a flyer. That said, you could probably find a use for her kit on someone since Crystalline is okay and Cruxploit can have its uses. Despite that, the color share is pretty decent. You could definitely do a lot worse than this. On the green share, we have regular Valley, New Year Heimdallr, and Uma Lin. Valley doesn't have the same benefits as her New Year version since she is a defense mythic, but the support is basically the same. Giving out Drive Miracle and Distant Counter is still really good and she'll basically function similarly. The fodder is also basically the same. Aria, Shackle, and an Uplift skill. It's just Uplift Imbue versus Null Uplift. That said, if you had to choose between them though, you should definitely take the New Year version on the basis of being blessable. Meanwhile, New Year Heimdallr is still insanely broken, especially this version since she's blessable. Foresight Snare is good if you didn't know. I've only been saying it for several months at this point. You definitely want a copy of her for support if you don't already have her, and if you do, extra copies are okay enough. Icewall and Aria are not the best, but they can work. The main thing is Liberate, which is a pretty good C skill that you could use on a lot of units, which is the last thing I could say about Uma Lin's fodder because it's all beast fodder. It's good beast fodder, but it's only beast fodder, which does not have a lot of applications, surprisingly. However, her support is nice and she gives out range 2 style at the start of the turn. Lin also has the benefit of being an offense mythic, which makes extra copies useful for scoring purposes. And overall, it's a very good color share. They all have pretty good support to pass out. And on the colorless share, we have Harmonic Brave Lin, Duo Hilda, and Ignat. You've got to be kidding me. Harmonic Brave Lin is still a really good 6th range unit, what with her Omnifeud and Potent 100 and stuff. Even if you have her, extra copies aren't the worst because her fodder is really solid still. Arc Rival and Execution Breath are pretty nice skills to pass around. Duo Hilda, meanwhile, is insanely good support and has incredibly good fodder. She gives out dual phase Brave support and inflicts a bunch of penalties while also being a pretty good combat unit herself. And she has Assist Gale Force, making her a really worthwhile unit to own. Extra copies of Hilda also go a long way because she comes with Favor and Strat Assault, both of which are really nice skills to have. Airspace is also the new A skill for basically a majority of range flyers at the moment. This unit really has everything. Everything I wish Ignatz had. This single unit completely ruins the share. It's insane how bad he is. He really doesn't do much of anything that any other bow unit couldn't do better with an inheritable. And to top it all off, his fodder is basically non-existent. He has Speed Defense Havoc and Perfect Attack Speed, which is absolutely wonderful. Some would say perfect. This is the same unit they gave out for 400 codes, by the way. I honestly think this makes polling on Colorless a bad idea despite it having 2 incredibly good units on it. Risking getting the really bad 1 in 3 isn't that great, but despite Colorless fumbling a bit, the overall banner is really good for the most part. Red, blue, and green have a lot of nice units on them. In fact, a majority of them are nice enough to where getting duplicates can be great since a lot of the fodder they have is actively useful currently. Really, the only quote-unquote bad unit on the banner is Ignatz. I don't know why I put that in quotes. He really is just bad and awful and terrible, and synonyms for bad and awful and terrible. But other than that, it really is that great of a banner. And that's it. Yep. Okay, bye. And now that we've gone over the brand new emblem unit, I think it's time we rank the banner on the small line graph that may or may not be small at the end of the day. And would you look at that? The brand new emblem banner has earned a 4 out of 10. On the small line graph, and based on my understanding of the banner, I believe that would be best fit somewhere around this area of the circle graph. It's a very nice banner with a solid amount of useful units and fodder. And Ignatz, who doesn't fit into either of those categories. And you may be wondering to yourself, should I engage with the banner? Wait a minute, engage? But is it worth summoning on the banner? I'd probably say it's worth considering. I think the emblem effect is the main thing most people care about, but I honestly think you could live without it. It is a nice effect, even if it's not so in your face as other rings are, but I don't think you'd be missing out on much. You'd probably sooner find more use for Lucina than her ring because she's a really strong support unit. That said, if you wanted to eventually get her just to have the ring, this may be the best time to do so. She's sharing with Valley and Corrin, which is incredible for so many reasons. I don't know if she'll have a better share as good as this down the line, so you may want to wait and see when she's rerunning and with who. Besides that though, the banner is really great overall, so there's value to be had no matter what. It's also the only banner I'd probably consider summoning on at this point. If you didn't already summon on the Hero Rises, and you may as well not bother at this point. It's still a good banner, but a decent amount of the units on that banner are on this one. It's mostly Elise you'd be missing out on, but she'll rerun sooner or later anyway. The Spring banner is still decent too for what it is, since Erica's another 6 range unit who could hit really hard. That said, I don't think the value of that banner is as strong as this one since there's so many incredible units here. There's also the Blazing Blade banner. There's also the upcoming Young banner, and that could have something really strong on it too. You could wait and see what that has before summoning, but besides that, this really is the best banner you could summon on currently, especially if you don't have many of these units. I think it's very worthwhile TBH, 2BH, to be quite H. Or you could wait for the next Harmonic Brave Ike banner next month. He pairs well with the free copy we got.
Bunny Blast!